Welcome to Global Current, the podcast that breaks down the biggest stories affecting our world today. I'm your host, and in this episode, we're diving into the massive power outage that has brought Spain and Portugal to a standstill. Millions are without electricity. Transport systems are paralyzed, and officials are scrambling to restore power. Let's unpack what's happening, why it matters, and what could come next. Earlier today, a sudden and widespread blackout hit the Iberian Peninsula, cutting power across Spain and Portugal. The outage struck around midday, plunging cities into chaos. Subway trains halted, traffic lights went dark, and even ATMs stopped working. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez called it a strong technical fluctuation in the European electricity system, but the exact cause remains unclear. Authorities are racing to restore power. Some regions, like Catalonia, Andalusia, and parts of northern Spain, are starting to see electricity return, but for many others, the wait stretches on. Portugal's grid operator has warned that it's impossible to predict when full service will resume. So, what's causing all of this? Officials are keeping their cards close to their chest, but here's what we know. The EU and Portuguese cybersecurity agencies say there's no evidence yet of a cyber attack, although investigations are still ongoing. Experts believe the cause is likely a major fluctuation in the European grid, possibly triggered by a technical failure somewhere within Spain's system. Portugal's government has hinted the problem may have originated outside their borders. Politically, Prime Minister Sanchez has warned against wild speculation. The European Union has offered technical support, and neighboring countries like France and Morocco are helping restore stability through cross-border energy links. The disruption has been immense. Trains are stranded. Spain's rail operator Renfe is evacuating 30,000 passengers from over 100 stalled trains. Madrid's metro is shut down, and airports are running on backup generators, causing widespread delays. Mobile networks are spotty, and officials are urging people to limit phone use to avoid overloading the system. Businesses are shuttered, ATMs are offline, and even major events like the Madrid Open tennis tournament were suspended mid-match. In Portugal, hospitals and emergency services are operating on emergency generators, while police are manually directing traffic in Lisbon. In Spain, candlelit restaurants are improvising meals, and hardware stores can't keep generators in stock. The immediate priority is, of course, restoring power. Spain's grid operator says they hope for full recovery within 6 to 10 hours, but Portugal admits it can't give any promises. Emergency meetings are taking place in both Madrid and Lisbon, and Sanchez has already activated special emergency powers in some of the worst-hit areas. But the consequences of today's blackout could ripple far beyond just the lights coming back on. Let's take a moment to think about what's at stake. Economically, the damage could be severe. Every hour of downtime costs businesses money. Small shops lose sales, factories halt production, service industries grind to a halt. Recovery costs could easily run into the hundreds of millions of euros, especially if critical infrastructure like ports or data centers suffered damages or delays. There's also a question of public trust. In both Spain and Portugal, frustration is growing. If the blackout drags on, or if the government is seen as mishandling the recovery, there could be political fallout. Protests over electricity costs and infrastructure neglect have happened before in southern Europe. This blackout could revive old grievances and put pressure on leaders already dealing with economic challenges. And then there's the energy question for Europe as a whole. This isn't the first time we've seen a large-scale blackout in recent years. Just last year, parts of the UK were plunged into darkness after grid failures, now the Iberian Peninsula. With energy demand rising and grids becoming more interconnected, is Europe really prepared for the future? Especially in an era where cyber threats, climate stress, and political instability are putting even more pressure on critical systems. Some experts warn that if European countries don't invest heavily in modernizing and securing their electricity grids, today's blackout could be a preview of much worse to come. Longer outages, cascading failures, even regional blackouts that cross multiple borders. In the short term, Spain and Portugal will have to deal with the human cost. Families without heating or air conditioning, vulnerable people stuck without medical equipment, commuters stranded without safe ways home. Emergency services are stretched thin. Hospitals can only run on generators for so long. If power isn't restored soon, secondary crises like food spoilage, water supply problems, and public safety risks could start to emerge. This blackout is more than just an inconvenience, it's a stress test for two nations and a warning shot for a continent. As Spain and Portugal work to recover, the world will be watching to see not only what caused this outage, but whether Europe can truly build an energy system strong enough to withstand the shocks of the future. If you're in affected areas, stay safe. Minimize travel, conserve your phone battery, and check in on vulnerable neighbors if you can. We'll keep following this story and bring you updates as new information comes in. Thanks for tuning in to Global Current. If you found this episode helpful, consider sharing it with someone who needs the update. Stay informed, and we'll see you next time.
Audio Jungle.